Hello. All right, let's do this. So here's the deal. I have been challenged to do some blind tastings by my friend Jose in New York, who sent me a bunch of other samples before that I reviewed. And these little Boston rounds here. This is the first one where I have no idea what it is. So the deal here is, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to look it up on my cell phone here. So I have no idea what's in here. I know from the color that it's probably aged, unless this is a spiced rum or something that just added a bunch of colorant. Beyond that, I have no idea. Now, you do know, because you can see wherever the title may be, whether it's up there or down there, you know what it is that I'm about to be drinking. I have no idea. So the fun of this is you get to sort of laugh at me as I try to puzzle things out and get everything wrong. But the deal is, I'm supposed to basically guess what this is by trying it, and I get points. I apparently get points. I don't know what the points do. I don't know who I'm competing against, but I get points for getting correct answers for type of spirit, country of origin, alcohol by volume, and there's a unique question for each of these as well. Now, the unique question is the only other thing that I know about what's in this and about the others. So for this one, the unique question is, and I'm just going to read it. Despite being such a traditional spirit, this sample uses a not often seen process in its distillation process. What is this process referred to as? Okay, so there's something funky going on in the distillation. Let's start with that. All right, I'm going to pour this. So, all right, I'm not going to do the whole thing because that would be way too much. That's about right. All right, so it is a lovely golden color, as you can see. That's sort of my first clue. So the thing about the distillation process, I'm not going to nose this yet, is like that in itself, the framing of that question already gives me a little bit more information than I would have otherwise. Because it means there aren't that many distilleries that do funky things with distillation, right? So this could be, like a weird kind of still. Maybe it's a wooden still. This could be, triple distilled or partially triple distilled. Could think SpicVanDyke. Think, I don't know, Irish whiskeys. Could be that. It could be, direct fired, SpicVanDyke again. There could something like that is going on, and that already is ruling out some of the more sort of standard options that might otherwise come up. So anyways, I have no notes. I have no information beyond what I've told you. So I'm just gonna dive into this. Let's see what the nose is like. Okay, let me get my bearings here. Okay, so my first thought. Well, let me give you my first impression. This is very bourbony. I don't know if that means it's bourbon, but I mean it comes off as quite bourbony. So we're getting, a lot of American oak. We're getting some toasted coconut shavings. Like just throw some coconut shavings in the toaster for a little bit. Little hints of like cherry skin, maybe some dried cherries. Little caramelized sugar, a little vanilla bean, and it just smells a little bit like a woodworking shop. There's also a hair bit of fennel coming through, a little bit of fennel. And kind of like if you've ever made like toasted not toasted corn on the cob, the one where you bake it and that gets a little burned, a little singed. This is kind of like that smell. This is there's a kind of like burned corn thing going on a little bit. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice nose. It's also there's a slight leafiness and a slight floral aspect. Just a little hint of kind of like a fresh leaf thing. and then like just throw some, you know, I don't know, like an air freshener in there, like a one of the more floral air fresheners. And okay, so let's try this on the palate. It doesn't smell particular. I don't think this is cask strength. It doesn't smell. It's not sort of punching me in the face with alcohol. But let's see what it does. Oh, that's different. Okay, let's back up here. Let me try to get my bearings. Okay, so still very American. So first of all, I am pretty sure this is an American whiskey. If this is a rum, like if this is not from America, I'm going to be like on the floor. I will die on camera, and you'll get to watch. Um, Quite medicinal. Quite there's a leafy herbal thing going on, but also the fennel, some anise happening. That slight floral note. Beyond that, it's like just a lot of American oak. This is not. This doesn't feel super old. It's mostly concentrated towards, like the flavor is mostly concentrated towards the front of my mouth. So I would be shocked if this was older than, you know. No, it could get up to maybe 6-8 years, but I would be shocked if it was any older than that. Yeah. So a little, not coconut shavings this time. It's more like the shell. Like you sort of just kind of lick the shell, the inside of the shell. Uh, some vanilla again, kind of raw wood tannins. Overstewed tea. Yeah, that's slightly. It's like a little bit of a cherry, medicinal, almost like cherries and menthol cough syrup, if that makes sense. Um, Going on there. This unusual. But it's also quite spirity. It doesn't. So how do I put this? This does not feel like in my brain. I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is some kind of craft bourbon, right? That's a reasonable thought for something to be thrown at me in blind tasting. Maybe this is some distiller in, you know, I don't know, Nebraska somewhere, and they're doing something weird. This is but the way it behaves, the way the oak behaves in particular, not the way it's structured. Put it this way: this does not feel distillate forward in the way that a lot of craft bourbons are. The distillate is very sort of, you know, buttoned up. It's very quiet. It's not pushing itself to the forefront a lot more. This is very much more driven by the oak in a way that sort of reminds me more of the sort of larger larger spirit makers. You know, your Heaven Hills and your Sazeracs and that kind of thing. Let me try this one more time, then I'm going to add some water to it. What is that sort of leafy thing? I mean, it's not bad. I like it. But yeah, I suspect this is coming from, you know, if not Kentucky, then something closely connected with Kentucky. It just kind of has that character to it. I could be totally wrong, and I probably am. And you were laughing at me right now because I don't know. So I just gave it a squirt of water. In terms of ABV, I was thinking maybe high 40s, maybe 50, but I don't think any stronger than that. Let's see. Let's see. All right, I'll give it a second to sort of react. I did let this guy sit open for about an hour before I started filming this, so it's had a little bit of a chance to breathe, but you know, it still could be cramped. Let's see what happens when I add some water. So what's the use of something like this? I mean, on the one hand, it's a little bit of a, you know, like a I don't know, a pissing contest in this. You know, it's like, can I identify the correct thing that this is? Right? That kind of deal. But I think more use is found in something like this by just paying attention to where my mind is going with this, right? I'm probably totally wrong about everything, but the fact that like I'm sort of narrowing in on bourbon and probably a more, you know, sort of mainstreamy kind of maker of bourbon, that's telling you something, right? Like that's because if this turns out to be some, you know, guy in Arkansas, but it's kind of reminding me more of, I don't know, in some ways this is reminding me of what Elmer T. Lee used to be in some respects. Then that tells you something about what this crazy guy in Arkansas is actually doing and what the product actually tastes like. Do you see what I mean? And if this turns out to be like, you know, again, I would be shocked if this was a malt or a rum or God, brandy. I don't think there's no way that this is a brandy. But you know, if it is, that tells you it's a very bourbony style of brandy, right? I mean and that's not nothing. So hopefully this isn't just sort of entertainment and a good laugh on my behalf. Hopefully you're actually getting some good information on the product. All right, let's go back to this. That floral note is still there. A little bit more of kind of sort of cherry, but more of a sweet cherry this time coming through. A little leafy still. Kind of but along with like the or slight herbaceousness, there's a kind of an autumn leaves thing going on, like dried leaves. Pretty much the same otherwise. Okay, I'm gonna go for this on the palate. Okay, that's brought it down to a reasonably comfortable drinking strength. Okay, so the distillate comes across as light in its feet. This is not a strong, characterful distillate. It's very spirity, and kind of so it's really the wood that's sort of rushing in and doing the work here. Let me try this one more time. The caramelized sugar comes out a little bit more. Some cinnamon, clove as well, sort of baking spices coming out now. Yeah, this is it comes across as a very traditional kind of bourbon. So I'm going to guess this wrong, I'm sure. It could also be like a rye, but I think this really is screaming like kind of, you know, I don't know, Old Forester style, kind of Sazerac mash bill 2, that kind of thing at me. Let me give this one more shot. Okay. What could they be? So what's tricky here is that there's something special going on in the distillation, right? When the floral thing started to come out, I started wondering, you know, well, maybe it's more something going on in the fermentation, right? Because, I mean, it could be like, you know, wild fermentation or something like that, but it doesn't feel like, because it doesn't feel like the spirit is putting enough, you know, weight into this that's really a factor. It feels much more like a pretty well buttoned up bourbon with a little bit of a kind of a slight like fresh leafy note in there. It's kind of like that's you know, that's kind of like I would say in terms of ABV. One more try. So I would think, based on the fact that I know this style a little bit, that if there's anything special going on in distillation, it's probably triple distilled, which narrows it down. If I'm right, you're laughing at me right now because I'm totally wrong. But if I'm right, that would narrow it down to, you know, Woodford Reserve or the Bowman Distillery in Virginia. Both of those seem like very real possibilities for this style. You know, I'm gonna say, you know, this is coming from the U.S. I think I would be shocked if this was not from the U.S. In terms of ABV, I don't know. Um, I'm stuck between 45% and 50, so I'm gonna say, can I say 48? That'll get me points if it lands, some 2 points removed from that. What was the other thing I was supposed to do? Oh, come on. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, I think it's a bourbon. I'm pretty sure it's a bourbon. Um, if it's a rye, a barely legal rye, that might be possible, but I still think it's a bourbon. Um, and I think it's triple distilled. I would expect either Bowman or I would bet on Bowman actually, but possibly Woodford Reserve. All right, so I'm going to hit the button to see what this is right now. Here we go, and you will be able to laugh at me when it comes up. It's loading. Ah, and I am completely wrong. Oh, oh, for God's sake! It is Wilderness Trail. Hang on. I'm totally wrong about everything. Look at this. All right. So it's Wilderness Trail, Astor Wines. What is this? It's a rye, Astor Wines, store pick. Let's see, mash bill 56 rye, 33 corn, 11% malted barley. It is from the US, so at least I got that. I'm way off in the ABV. This is what, 55.5%. 4 years and 10 months old, so I'm kind of in the right region with the age. Oh, damn it! The sweet mash. They use a sweet mash method. I was wondering if there was something special going on. That's cheat, Jose. That's dirty because that is a fermentation thing, not a distillation thing. Let me try this again. It's still very. It's a very bourbony rye. I'm not shocked that I was misled by that. It is from Kentucky, so I'm kind of right there, but wrong about everything else. So I resigned my membership in the Getting Bourbon Right clubs. But that tells you a little bit, right? Um, yeah, I was. It was either something interesting with the barrel going on with that floral note, or something interesting with the fermentation. And I could have done worse. At least it's in the U.S. At least it's in Kentucky. Um, it's good. I like this. I'm not blown away. I forgot to score this before I sort of unblinded myself. I was going to give this. Um, I'm not totally blown away with this, but I think it's good. I would give this an 83 or so. I will keep this on my side, and I will adjust that score. But it's going to be like low to mid 80s. I'm not going to go. It's not going to get into the sort of high 80s at all. It's nice. I don't get a price on this. I would think. It's a store pick. He doesn't say. I'll try to add a price below. Um, what I will say is, if you are a fan of that sort of old school, like Sazerac Mash Bill 2 kind of style, this is one you might look into. Um, I know it says rye, but it's behaving more like that than it is like, or even more like Forester on occasion. That's kind of all I got. I failed miserably. Thanks for watching. I'll do another one of these. I'm gonna try to film a couple of these today. By the way, it's Christmas. We got the tree up. I'm gonna try to do a couple of these. Thanks so much for watching, and cheers.